Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Kamal Syami. I'm from Group 1. I want to explain about assignment 1, epidemiology. The topic is about indoor air quality problem in an office building. Okay, first, definition and scope of epidemiology in occupational and health. Epidemiology is the study of how health issues spread in a population. It looks at what causes these health issues and how to stop them. The main goal is to understand the distribution and determinants of health-related events. In occupational health, the epidemiology is used to first identify work-related disease and health problems. Second, study the relationship between workplace exposure and worker health. Third, identify risk factors in the workplace. The last one is develop presentive and control measures. In this case study, epidemiology helps to investigate the increasing health complaints among employees in an office building in Selangor. Report symptoms include frequent head, eye and throat irritation, disease and fatigue. 3 workers experiencing worsening asthma. Okay, the application of the epidemiology triangle for this case study. One important concept in epidemiology is the epidemiologic triangle, which explains how disease occur through the intrication of 3 factors. First, agent. The agent is the factor that causes the health problem. In this case, the agent include high CO2 level, volatile organic compounds, VOC, released from new office furniture, mold contamination in the air conditioning ducts. This agent can cause respiratory irritation, HS, and asthma attacks. Second, host. The host refers to the individuals exposed to the agents. In this case, office employees working in the building, workers with existing asthma, workers who are sensitive to chemical exposure. Host factors that influence susceptibility include age, health condition, immune system strength, and duration of exposure. Third, environment. The environment refers to external conditions that allow the agent to affect the host. In this case, environmental factors include poor ventilation system, enclosed office building, mold contamination in air conditioning ducts, newly installed furniture release VOC.
Good day. Today we examine the indoor air quality issues in the office by identifying the types of contaminants and explaining the primary exposure pathways. For my part, which is part 3, identification of types of contaminants. The contaminants are classified into 3 categories, which is chemical, biological, and physical. Chemical contaminants: excessive carbon dioxide CO2 levels above 1,000 part per million, indicate insufficient fresh air supply due to poor ventilation. This contributes to headaches, dizziness, and fatigue, which are common indicators of sick building syndrome. Additionally, volatile organic compound VOCs such as formaldehyde and benzene emitted from new furniture, adhesives, and paint cause eye and throat irritation, headaches, and may aggravate into asthma. For second is biological contaminants, which is more contamination has developed in the air conditioning ducts due to moisture accumulation. This releases spores including Aspergillus and Stachybotrys, leading to allergic reaction, asthma exacerbation observed in 3 workers. Eye and throat irritation and breathing difficulties. The last one is physical contaminants, which is the inadequate ventilation system fails to provide sufficient air changes per hour, resulting in stagnant air. This physical deficiency prevents effective dilution and removal of contaminants, thereby intensifying symptoms such as fatigue and dizziness. And for the part 4, which is exposure pathways. The predominant exposure pathway is inhalation. Employees continuously breathe recirculated air containing elevated levels of CO2, VOCs, and mold spores distributed through the HVAC system. These agents, particularly mold spores, deposit in the respiratory tract and trigger respiratory symptoms. Secondary exposure occurs via dermal contact, where VOCs from furniture interact with the skin or mucous membranes, especially during prolonged desk work. For ingestion, remains minimal and occurs indirectly through hand-to-mouth contact with contaminated dust. Key contributing factors include prolonged occupancy in a confined environment, uniform dispersion of contaminants due to poor ventilation, and cumulative exposure over 3 months, which has resulted in a 20 to 30% increase in health complaints. So this concludes the identification of contaminants and exposure pathways. Thank you so much.
Alright, for this part, I will explain about the control measure using the hierarchy of control. First, we have the elimination, which is the most effective method. In this case, we can remove the mold from the air conditioning system and also remove the furniture that release high VOCs, which is volatile organic compounds. Next, we have substitution. In substitution, that means that replacing harmful materials with safer ones, such as using a low VOC furniture or eco-friendly products. And then we have engineering control. This is very important in this case because the main issue is the poor ventilation. So we need to improve the ventilation system. We can increase the fresh air flow and maintain the air conditioning system regularly. After that, we have administrative control. This includes limiting the time workers spend in the affected areas, conducting regular air quality monitoring, and providing training and awareness to employees. Lastly is PPE, which is the least effective method. Workers can use masks like N95, especially during cleaning or when exposure cannot be avoided. So overall, the best approach is to focus on elimination and engineering controls rather than relying only on PPE. And lastly, I will explain about the importance of epidemiology in protecting the workers' health. First, epidemiology helps identify patterns of health problems among the workers. For example, in this case, many employees experience headaches, dizziness, and some have a worsening asthma. Second, it helps determine the cause of these health issues by linking system to workplace exposure, such as VOCs, mold, and poor ventilation. Third, epidemiology helps to assess the level of exposure and identify which workers are more at risk. And it also helps in planning effective control measures based on real data, not just assumption. And in addition, epidemiology is used to monitor whether the control measures are working or not over time. This is important to prevent future health problems and improve overall workplace safety. Lastly, it helps protect workers' health and productivity, and ensure the organization follows safety regulation. So overall, epidemiology is very important because it helps us understand, control, and prevent workplace health issues.